Hey yo, this storyline is quite personal to mine. Despite the divine, I was accused of working under mine by someone who had authority over me, for the simple fact that him and I could not agree, or better yet, because I don't agree with him. So everything I did, he tried his best to condemn. In his eyes, I was disobeying the man that he was, despite the words that he spoke kept ricocheting off the walls, despite his title. Hey yo, if he really spoke the truth, I should have seen it in the Bible, with no ands, ifs, or buts. I tell you what, the only version that I want is the pure, raw, uncut, absolute truth. Don't dilute it with man's opinion or tradition, cause the truth can get polluted. Then babes, they can be confused or even lost by the knowledge some portray to be truth when yet it's really false. That's why, just like a Berean, I study for myself to see if what I hear matches with what I'm seeing in the scriptures, the holy word. I need to know it for myself. I can't be trusting just what I've heard from any man or group of men who think that the only way that I can learn of Christ is through them. I worship God in spirit and in truth, which means that I can know him for myself and not to you. Cause
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Don't let your faith fall on rest on man's wisdom.
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Let your faith rest on God's truth, his power.
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Don't let your faith fall on rest on man's wisdom.
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Let your faith rest on God's truth, his power and divine. For those that be overseeing, I'm declaring the truths of Jesus the Nazarene. It's his truth from which you won't succumb. But yet the very folks that Jesus came and preached against you have become Phariseeing, inscribing. It's no surprising. You claim to know the truth, but yet the truth you ain't recognizing. In turn, you blowing smoke, deceiving the weak. But what you're speaking on their next place in yokes. I see your motives, cleverly, discreetly cloaked. But see, the spirit shows the error from the words you quote. You hope that I believe that God spoke. When you come at me like that, I seek his presence be invoked, so I can get the whole truth and not the half. Clarity from his perspective, cause I ask that his truth confirm what's being spoken in the class. When it's given by his spirit, and through his spirit I can grasp what was said to leave my spirit stirred. Yo, regardless of your title, I'ma check for proof from the word. I'll submit if the content remains hollowed, but if it ain't what God meant, I can't follow those who, like the Pharisees before, like to seek the praises of men while God's truth be ignored. Ignored for the sake of your traditions, denominations, rituals, and positions.
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Don't let your faith fall on rest on man's wisdom.
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Let your faith rest on God's truth, his power.
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Don't let your faith fall on rest on man's wisdom.
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Let your faith rest on God's truth, his power and divine living.
Some folks allow themselves to be enslaved or held captive to any man's teaching, but Jesus Christ came to set us free. And who the Son sets free is free indeed. Free indeed.
Yeah, picking up the final verse to deal with certain hearts and attitudes, different issues up in the church. Like all the letter B folks, that's a joke. Catch 'em when they're sinning, love's the first thing they quote. But love doesn't hide, love exposes what remains hidden in our lives. Through the word we take notice of this new battle from within. Cause when you in the light, you need a friend who ain't afraid to call a sin a sin. No, I'ma switch back to certain men who like to use their positions to intimidate the born again. They need to know the words, my safeguard against those that claim the truth but use the word with disregard. I mean, it's one thing to make mistakes, but when you trust tradition over truth, you show no love for the lives at stake. Masquerading like you care, persuading God's folks with flattery, giving hopes to be a millionaires. So what the riches of this present life for me? I'm satisfied with being rich in Christ, you see. It's the knowledge of him that makes me richer, because he lets me know more for myself through the scriptures. In him I succeed, because he's all I need, by teaching me to say no to ungodliness and worldly greed. Don't let your faith fall on rest on man's wisdom. Let your faith rest on God's truth, his power and divine
Jesus,
living.
he gave us the freedom.
Don't let your faith fall on rest on man's wisdom.
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Let your faith rest on God's truth, his power.
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Don't let your faith fall on rest on man's wisdom.
Jesus, he gave us the freedom.
Let your faith rest on God's truth, his power and divine living.